How's it going, guys? My name is Umbrella and it's time to release a new edition of How Not to Suck at CSGO. As suggested by Rita May and voted on by over 500 of you guys on my pistols rounds video, which by the way you can view by clicking on the card in the top right hand corner. Today we'll be tackling one of CSGO's most notorious and hardest mechanics. Today I will be teaching you guys how not to suck at spray control. The very first time anyone tries rifles in CSGO, they will immediately realize that rifles don't work like they do in other shooters. What makes Counter-Strike so special is the fact that each rifle has its own unique spray pattern, which prevents the simple point and click mechanic that's found in other games. The need to learn, practice, and perfect the spray patterns adds a whole new layer of skill to this game. The beauty about rifles is that they only need about 4 to 5 bullets to guarantee the kill. So if you fire off 30 bullets, you really only need about 15% of them to connect. I guess the next challenge would be, how do you actually connect that 15%? The limiting factor here is accuracy. To really hone in on how to get that accurate spray, we must go down to the basics of how the gun works. I'm going to split this tutorial into 3 layers: learning, executing, and perfecting. We will then go over the various practice methods you can integrate into your warm-ups to keep your spray fresh at all times. Now keep in mind, I will not go into the technicalities or math of how each spray is coded. Instead, I will be solely focusing on what you can do to tackle spray control and not suck at it. As I mentioned earlier, each rifle in the game has its own predictive recoil patterns, which are 100% learnable. Now please do not confuse recoil with bullet inaccuracy. Recoil is the backward momentum of a gun when it's discharging bullets. Crouching and moving does not decrease or increase the recoil. Bullet inaccuracy determines how much your bullets will spread depending on a number of factors. Inaccuracy is completely random. Crouching, movement, and range all affect the bullet inaccuracy. Knowing the difference between these two is important. More on that later. In this video, I'll be focusing solely on the AK-47 and the M4A4 rifles, as they are the most popular ones. If you wish to practice other rifles, simply apply the same techniques. In the description, I've provided a workshop map called the Recoil Master by Oletical, and a website which has all of CSGO's recoil patterns. You will need to subscribe to the map to download it and then launch it. Once you've spawned, you'll be greeted with a neat control panel and a shooting range. You're automatically equipped with the AK-47, which is what we're going to start off with. Now if you're referred to right above the shooting range, you can see the current gun selected and its respective inverse spray pattern. The inverse spray pattern is the opposite movement of the gun's recoil. We're going to study this with some detail. As you can see, the red outline shows where you have to move your crosshair as you deplete your gun's bullets. The first 8 bullets are the easiest, with a slight rightward trend and an extreme pull down. Now keep in mind that the majority of your downward pull will come from the first 8 bullets. This is a detail that is hugely neglected by many beginner players, as they don't pull far enough down when spraying. The pattern then takes a huge left turn for its next 6 bullets. At this point, the magazine has been depleted to half and the kill is usually made within this point, but it's still important to know the full spray. Continuing on with the pattern, you will want to drastically reverse your direction to the right with a slight downward adjustment for about 7 bullets. To finish off the pattern, there's a bit of an uncomfortable bend downwards for about 4 bullets, and finally an extreme leftward pull with a slight upward trend for the last 5 bullets. Now I know this is a lot to take in at once, but don't worry, I'll guide you to the end step by step. We are now going to hop over to the M4A4, which should hopefully be a tiny bit easier to learn. Go ahead and shoot the M4A4 to selected and take a look at its spray pattern. The beginning is very similar to the AK, except now you have a quick curve to the right before you get to pull to the left. On the M4A4, the first 10 bullets will take up the majority of the downward movement. This pull can be split into 2 movements. First 7 bullets are an easy downward pull, followed by a quick 3 bullet right turn. The pattern then begins its extreme 9 bullet pull to the left, followed by a 6 bullet right turn with a slight downward trend. It finishes off with a very tight 5 bullet tail. Now visually, this pattern looks a lot nicer than the AK pattern, and it also feels a lot tighter when you perform it. Another way of looking at it is the M4A4 pattern is simply 3/4 of the AK pattern. You see, when I put them side by side, you can definitely make out the similarities. You can find the recoil animations made by 2WordBird on the website I linked in the description. Now as a quick disclaimer, I do not own the website or the animations, nor am I sponsored by them. I simply did a quick Google search to find the patterns, and I think it would benefit you guys. If you wish to learn other patterns in more detail, that website is a great option for you guys. Once you've gone over each pattern, let's hop into the execution. Take a look at the control panel and familiarize yourself with the settings. There are a lot of good combinations we can set up to create a great practice environment. You might be wondering what the green dot in the middle of the range is. That is called the ghost hair. The ghost hair guides your crosshair as you spray, helping you achieve the perfect spray. Because this is my tutorial, however, we're actually going to disable it and instead just have T-target enabled. The T-target will allow you to see what percentage of your shots are hitting and where. This will also allow you to keep track of how good your spray is getting as you're going along. If you're a complete beginner at spray control, I recommend turning on no spread. This will disable bullet inaccuracy so you can concentrate on purely your spray. Now that we're set up, let's begin. We are going to split the AK into 4 parts. To make it easier, the first part will be the first 9 bullets, the second part will be the next 6, third is 5, and fourth is the last 10. Begin at the head and draw out the first 9 bullets. At 9 shots, stop and evaluate the bullet impacts. Are they too high? Off to one side. See where you went wrong and try again with another round of 9 bullets. In one magazine, you should be able to get 3 rounds of 9 shots in and have 3 left over. Simply shoot the last 3 bullets into the target to complete the cycle. At this point in chat, you should get the statistic of how many shots you connected with. You want to strive to get this number up with each try. You're going to do this again and again and again, each time shooting just 9 bullets, perfecting your drag and adjusting any imperfections. Once you start hitting 90% consistently, I'd say that's the time to move on to the next step. Now, same as before, start at the head and spray your 9 bullets, except now when you get to 9, you're going to pull to the left for about 6 shots. This is exactly 15 bullets, so you should be able to get 2 rounds of shots per mag. Like before, you will do this again and again and again until you consistently get 90% or higher. Remember, Newton's law is applied here. If you see the bullet impacts collect on the right of the target, it means you're not pulling to the left enough, or vice versa. Whatever you see, make the necessary adjustment to correct it. Step 3 is easy. You're literally going to the right and slightly down for 5 shots. Combined with step 1 and 2, this will deplete 20 bullets. The remaining 10 you can use like in step 1. The 4th step may be the hardest one. It will require a lot of practice to get right. Once you get to the 20 shot point, there's that tight little curve that we talked about. A good technique is to simply leave your crosshair stationary for those 5 bullets and then finish off the spray with a pull to the left. This will most likely take you a couple of tries to get right, but just like all the other steps, you're going to do this again and again and again until you do the full pattern in one movement. The rest of it is quite easy actually, just constant repetitions until you no longer have to think about what your hand is doing. Because this is split up into 4 steps, it should be very easy to see at what point you struggle the most. Work on your mistakes and you'll soon have a perfect AK spray. Moving on to the M4A4 spray, this one should be a lot easier. This gun will be split up into just 3 steps. The first step is 10 bullets, second step is another 10, and the last step is the last 10. You want to start at the head and pull down just like with the AK, except now you will have to pull to the right a lot more. You should be able to get 3 rounds of 10 shots per mag, repeated over and over again until it's consistent. Step 2, you're simply continuing the spray for another 10 shots to the left. This movement should take a smooth 20 to complete. Simply do the spray for 20 shots, then empty out the remaining 10 bullets like in step 1. The last step is a downward movement with a pull to the right. This takes up the remaining 10 bullets to complete the cycle. Congratulations boys, you just learned the M4A4 spray. The spray should feel a lot tighter and easier to complete. This is because you're not doing as many movements. Just like with the AK, you're going to do this over and over and over again until you start hitting 90 to 100% every single time. Remember guys, repetition leads to consistency and consistency is everything. With both of these sprays, you're aiming to get to the point where your mind doesn't have to think about what your hand is doing. You're trying to burn the movement into your muscle memory. Repetition will definitely get you closer to where you need to be, but doing the same thing over and over again, well, that's insanity. You have to expand on your training to allow yourself to not be so one-dimensional. Begin with playing around with range. Practice your spray control at different distances. The map allows you to move the shooting range further back. I recommend moving it back 1 interval, practice your spray, once it feels solid, move it back 1 more, and so on. You'll get better at tightening up your spray and knowing how far to pull down at what range. You'll also find out how range affects the bullet inaccuracy. It is a lot harder to land the majority of your bullets as the range increases. That's where you can try crouch spraying. Crouching will decrease the bullet spread, effectively making your accurate range longer. Crouching also allows you to move while shooting, giving you the ability to crouch spray. The principle is the same as regular spray control, except now you're crouching and moving at the same time. Learning and practicing this skill can definitely come in handy in a match. Spray transfers are also a thing you can play around with and try to master. You can enable multi-target from the control panel and mess around with transferring your spray from target to target. First start with 2 targets, then start working with 3. You'll start learning how big swipes with your mouse affect the pattern and what kind of adjustments you need to make to allow your bullets to go straight. Spicing up how you practice your spray will help you in the long run for sure. Learning the different techniques and training will allow you to be ready in a real game scenario. To make sure you're always ready when it matters, let's hop into how to keep your spray fresh on a day-to-day basis. You should always strive to keep your spray fresh and ready to go at all times. Whatever your warm-up or practice routine is, you should consider adding a couple of spray control exercises into it. When practicing the map aimbots, I always take some time to practice spraying and doing spray transfers on the bots. Because the map provides good range and width, you can get really good at both spraying and transferring in any scenario. Play around with it, I hope it can help you out. The best place to really put your training to the test and to really bring everything together, free-for-all deathmatch is your best bet. I hope at this point you don't need help finding an FFA deathmatch server. There are a ton of them in your custom server browser. I'd recommend in general DMing for at least 30 minutes per day, alternating between the M4 and the AK. Work on spray control, spray transferring, and crouch spraying. Do it at distance and close, crouching and moving, etc. I'd say you'll spend the most amount of time DMing than any other training method, so I'd get used to incorporating spray control into DM. With time, you'll start to feel like your spray is slipping, and that's quite normal. I'd recommend revisiting recoil map once that point comes and doing the same exercises. As much as training is good, you also don't want to burn yourself out, so revisit the map only when you need it. The rest of the training should come from DM and other practice. Congratulations on making it to the end. You can officially call yourself a spray master. Just kidding, it's really hard to master spray control even after hours of practice, but you're definitely one step closer. I hope my tips and training methods helped you learn and develop your spray control so you're no longer sucking at it. If I did in fact help you out and you learned something new from this video, then please leave a like and share this video. If you're new here and you like what you see, then subscribe for more videos like this. I'm also making a conscious effort to stream and tweet more, so go follow my Twitch and Twitter. The links will be down in the description. That's gonna do it for me for today, so thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Bill, and remember, be water, my friends.